Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really beautiful, just absolutely thought-provoking piece by pastoral clinical counselor Friar John Baptist. We're going to be looking at how we as human beings connect to the divine, specifically the concept of the Trinity, and how we even begin to process ideas that are just way too massive for our brains to handle. Whether you're approaching this from a theological angle or a psychological one, the framework he gives us for handling the incomprehensible is, well, it's literally brilliant. So let's get right into it.
Starting off with Section 1, the ocean and the whole. Let's take a look at a really fascinating legend about St. Augustine.
To ground this whole massive topic, the author actually kicks things off with a famous medieval legend. Picture this, okay? St. Augustine, literally one of the greatest minds of his era, is walking along the seashore. His mind is just churning, trying to logically wrap his head around the mystery of the Holy Trinity. As he's walking, he spots a young child who has dug this tiny little hole in the sand, and the kid is running back and forth, using a shell to scoop up the ocean and pour it into the hole. Well, Augustine stops, kind of smiles, and tells the kid that is impossible. The ocean is way too vast, and that hole is just too small. But the child stops and delivers this incredible response. They say it would be even more impossible for Augustine to fully grasp the mystery of the triune God with his limited mind. Boom! It's the ultimate reality check, right? The ocean represents this vast, infinite, divine reality, and the little hole in the sand? Yep, that's our human intellect. We spend so much energy trying to cram the infinite into our finite understanding, and this brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of what we're talking about here.
Which brings us to Section 2, a mystery, not a puzzle. It's time for a major cognitive shift.
See, the core conflict here isn't that we aren't smart enough. It's that we're using the totally wrong framework to approach the vastness of God. On the left side here, we have a puzzle to be solved. And, a puzzle is something you figure out. You find the edge pieces, you put them all together, and once it's done, you've mastered it. You put it back in the box. But Friar John Baptist points out that God just cannot be reduced to our small, neat little categories. The infinite is not a puzzle. Instead, on the right side, it is a mystery to be entered. And a mystery, in this sense, isn't some problem waiting for a detective to solve it. It's an environment you literally step into. So this limitation of our minds, it isn't a failure at all. It's actually an invitation.
So the crucial point is that the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are not just some intellectual concept for us to conquer. Framing it as an idea we master puts us firmly in control, but framing it as a communion of love, that changes the dynamic entirely. It's not about data collection, guys, it's about relationship. Think about it. You don't solve a relationship with your best friend or your partner, right? No, you participate in it, you join it. The source text really emphasizes that we are invited into this communion, not, tested on our mathematical understanding of it.
Moving right along to Section 3, building the canal. This is where we see a real paradigm shift.
Okay, so if our minds are the hole in the sand, and the divine is the ocean, and we've already accepted that we can't possibly scoop the whole ocean into that hole, what do we actually do? Do we just give up and walk away from the beach? Not at all. We just change how we interact with it. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the author's brilliant pivot here. We cannot pour the ocean into the hole, but we can connect the hole to the ocean by making a small canal. Instead of trying to contain the divine, the entire goal shifts to connecting with it. It's like you just drag your finger through the sand, creating this little trench from your hole directly out to the waves.
Let's look at the actual impact of building this canal. First off, the hole is no longer separated. It's literally part of the ocean's ecosystem now. Second, fresh water flows in and out. It's dynamic, it's moving, it's not stagnant at all. And third, it remains alive precisely because it remains connected. This is just such a profound, beautiful image for the spiritual life. It completely removes the pressure. You don't need to have perfect theological comprehension. Ongoing connection completely replaces the need for complete understanding. As long as that canal is there, the ocean does all the heavy lifting.
And that brings us to Section 4, the psychology of awe. Let's look at how modern science backs this up.
So, Friar John Baptist actually grounds this old medieval spiritual metaphor in modern scientific research to show how perfectly it aligns with our human psychology. Let's move to and see how this builds on everything we've talked about. He introduces the concept of awe. Back in a landmark 2003 study, psychologists Dr. Keltner and Jonathan Haidt defined awe as the experience of standing before something vast that stretches our understanding. I mean, think about how perfectly that mirrors the child on the beach. The ocean is vast. The Trinity is vast. It stretches our mental categories to their absolute breaking point.
But experiencing that vastness isn't terrifying. It evokes a true sense of awe.
Awe humbles us, sure, but it also opens us. It teaches us that reality is so much larger than our control. When we stand before something completely incomprehensible, it doesn't diminish us. Actually, scratch that, it expands us. It frees us from this exhausting illusion that we somehow have to be in control of absolutely everything. By realizing we're just a small hole on the beach, we are suddenly free to just enjoy the sheer majesty of the ocean. The incomprehensible becomes a source of wonder rather than, a source of endless frustration.
Let's look at Section 5, Staying Connected. This is all about practical application.
Okay, so we've talked about the theology, the metaphor, and the psychology. But how do we actually apply this? Like, how do we build that canal in our actual day-to-day lives? Well, Friar John Bautista identifies these everyday actions as small inflows from the ocean of divine life. We're talking about every prayer, every act of love, every moment of silence, every single experience of forgiveness. These aren't massive, world-changing theological treatises, right? They are simple, daily choices. When you just sit in silence for a minute, or when you consciously choose to forgive someone, you are essentially dragging your finger through the sand. You are clearing out the debris in your personal canal, allowing the vastness of that divine communion to just wash right into your daily reality. And so, we arrive at the core takeaway of this entire text. We do not need to empty the ocean of God into our minds. We just need to keep the canal open. Wow, what a relief that is. You are not expected to contain the infinite. No way. The only thing you are invited to do is stay connected to its life-giving flow. As long as you maintain those simple practices, love, forgiveness, stillness, the ocean of God will just keep refreshing the small shores of your life.
So I want to leave you with this question to really carry with you. How will you keep your own canal open to the vastness of reality today? What is the one small action, maybe a moment of silence, a text of forgiveness, or just a simple act of love, that you can do right now to clear the sand and let the water flow in? Really think about it. Thanks for learning with me today, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.